let's actually move into the Fofoka. Give me a couple slaps. Fofoka. Yeah. Woo. Hey-o.
I got it.
So there's been some baby mama drama going on, and Chris hates it all, but we love it.
Yes.
This is our Real Housewives, our Jersey Shore, our...
Are you the situation?
Honestly, I think... You know, I would have
I'm surprised you know who that is.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah.
Which one's the guy with the bullhorn?
DJ Pauly D.
Pauly D. Yeah, I thought I was Pauly D.
Yeah.
He's Pauly D.
Okay.
For sure. Way more jovial all the time. You can't make Pauly D upset.
Oh, no, you
the
can't.
guy is just always happy.
Yeah.
That's this guy.
Yeah.
I don't... Maybe I'm the situation. I might be the situation.
You're something.
How do I know all this? Because she watches that stuff all
I'm
the
sure.
time.
I'm sure it's just her.
Well,
easy.
It's not that. I think this is a good topic to talk about.
Jersey Shore?
No. The CGI.
Oh, yeah.
CJI stuff. It's just all the little.
There's a lot going on.
Okay, so first question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good for the sport?
Is it good? Okay, let's preface what it is. So, ADCC is the Abu Dhabi Championship, is the premier quote unquote Olympics of grappling historically. It's once every 2 years. You either get invited by the promoter or you have to go through a gauntlet, which is the trials. 7 matches, 1 day against a range of anyone can go. So you can have a 250 person bracket and you could have guys like us that are train hard, train regularly, but we could be in the tournament, and then you can have Nicky Rod in the tournament, a full-blown pro grappler. So that's why the early rounds are a little bit easier, and it dramatically gets harder and harder. And then you'll have guys like D1 wrestlers in there. Newell, the guy with one arm or one hand, pro MMA fighters are doing it. So very difficult to get into, very prestigious for that reason. Historically, it was also prestigious because it paid well and above any other tournament.
Well, it actually paid.
Exactly.
Let's be clear.
That's how it was well and above.
Yeah.
It actually paid. Because this was at a time where really no other jiu-jitsu tournaments paid money for the most part. You had some one-off stuff or rare tournaments like EUG,
EBI,
Emerald City Invitational, and then more recently in the last couple of years, BJJ Stars, Spider Invitational, and then Abu Dhabi AJP.
What does who's number one pay?
They're good, but they're not tournaments.
Yeah.
They're super fight shows, which like BJJ Stars sometimes does super fights, sometimes they do tournaments. Same with Spider Invitational. Now, and we'll get into the super fight thing because that does add. There is a piece to that needs to be talked about. But from a tournament perspective, you win $10,000 if you win the championship, the Abu Dhabi Championship, which once again historically
For men.
For men, For women, I believe it was 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
Yeah. Which obviously there's a little bit of bugaboo there.
Yeah.
Now, 10 grand for the men historically was big. Once again, because no one was paying. Yeah. As we've come along, Spider Invitational had $100,000 grand prize. EBI, I believe, has gone up to 40 at certain times, sometimes 20.
Yeah. AJP pays big.
AJP's like Spider Invitational, 50 to 100, and then you have EUG was 10,000. Emerald City, 10,000. And these are invite tournaments. So maybe not the prestige that ADCC has, but the money has followed and surpassed them. Yeah. Now, I will say if you win the absolute bracket, the absolute tournament ADCC, it's 40,000. Okay. So it is more. Or if you win the super fight, which doesn't make sense to me. The super fight is nowhere near as hard. Yeah. I always thought that was weird. Like Andre Galval having 6-time ADCC champ. I'm like, no. Winning a super fight is nowhere near as hard as winning 4 or 5 matches. Okay. Yeah. I digest. So they ADCC is now being challenged. ADCC is going to be August 17th and 18th, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, or 18th and 19th,
18th and 19th,
of this year. And it's the biggest one ever. We all went to the last, well, most of us went to the last one.
Sorry, buddy.
At least you got a good T-shirt out of it. And it was phenomenal. It was awesome. The show, the production value. Typically, it had always been in gymnasiums and just low attendance, just not an environment that someone would go and watch by any means. Yeah. And now, obviously, they've put a lot of money into production. They've made it so people actually want to go and watch, like a destination tournament, which is obviously why we went. And they started that in 2019. In 2019, they started to up the production value. This is when the head organizer became Mo Jassim, which typically they change organizers every event. He's the first one to get multiple events in a row. And in 2019, he upped it a little bit. It looked better. They signed on with Flow Grappling. So streaming was good. If we remember back to the one that was in China, you can't even find a video of it. And then 22, which is when we went to, was awesome.
Yep.
13,000 people or so, 12,000 people in attendance rather than a gymnasium. And now this one's going to be at the T-Mobile Arena, which is going to be 18,000 people. And it's a huge, great, like NBA level facility. Well, they have a challenger that just came about. Well, from what we know, people started hearing about it. Athletes started hearing about it right after West Coast Trials, which was, I think, March, right? West Coast Trials was in March.
Is that what you were saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That was the first that people started hearing of it. Not us, the normies, but actual athletes. And William Tackett came out and said that, and said that's the first time he heard about it. And so he reached out to Craig and was like, is this real? I mean, this seems like BS. Because Craig Jones Invitational is offering $10,000 in one. So $1 more than if you win ADCC, you get that just for showing up. For participating in the tournament, you will get $10,000.
Yep.
If you win, you'll get $1 million. Now, as you can imagine, this is why people thought it was BS. And also Craig just being Craig, he's a very...
The troll.
Jokester, all that. Yeah. Well, it turns out to be, it's happening. Yeah. He booked the Thomas and Mack Arena as the venue, which is where ADCC was in 22. And he has been on a media frenzy, going to all of the big podcasts, Joe Rogan,
Chris Williamson.
Chris Williamson just came out.
He's on the MMA Hour
Thomas's,
one, the Thomas one.
Yeah. Ariel Hawani's. Yeah. So he's doing the rounds. It's happening. Yeah. And
he hasn't come to ours yet.
He hasn't come onto ours like a little bitch.
That's why I'm here.
Good replacement. Good replacement. So anyways, there is now a challenger, and he's intentionally booked it the same weekend, the same city as ADCC, which, as you can imagine, has caused quite a bit of drama between fans, other organizers, other streaming companies, athletes. Everyone's getting hit by this because you have an option as, let's say, a competitor to have the prestige and the profile lift of winning ADCC and obviously winning money, or an opportunity to win $1 million, which grapplers, unless you're the top, unless you own a gym. So let's say you don't own a gym and you're a professional grappler. If you're not in the top probably 5 to 10, you're not making a very good living. What I mean by that is you're not living a comfortable financial life, right? Craig Jones kind of broke this down about like the top guys that are selling instructionals. That's where you'll make the most money if you don't own a gym. And yes, Craig, John Danaher, Gordon Ryan, Mikey Musumeci, they're probably making $100,000 plus to $200,000 a month on instructionals.
A month?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So if you're not one of those guys, hopefully, you might be making $5-10 grand. But once again, you got to be very, very top level, and you got to be a good instructor. Yeah. Right? That's another challenge.
And you have to say socially relevant.
Exactly.
Do the whole 9 yards.
All these things. So maybe like a Fiona Davies or a JT Torres, they might be able to get into that world a little bit. So what's happening is Craig is trying to make a point by doing on the same, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But that's what the Craig Jones Invitational is, the same weekend. It's Friday, Saturday, rather than ADCC is Saturday, Sunday. And in the same city, he's trying to obviously take advantage of,
which is smart,
fans already going to this destination and pushing them to like, hey, go to here, watch our finals on Saturday, and then you can go to ADCC later on Saturday or even Sunday. So that's what the Craig Jones Invitational is. $1 million grand prize. There's 2 weight divisions, 80 kilos and under, 80 kilos and above. And then there's going to be some super fights in there. And you get $10,001 to just participate. He's hoping to do 16-man tournaments, $1 million to the winner. Your question.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
So is it good? Is it good for the sport?
Is it good for the sport? What do you think, Chris?
Yes.
Why?
That's all I'm going to say. No.
I like that
As
answer.
expected.
No, I think competition, you could argue this is kind of a dick move, and but
I mean, for sure is a dick move.
no,
whether
I'm just
that's
saying,
good
but,
or not. Yeah.
right? But what it's doing is bringing eyeballs to this issue by the drama,
Yeah.
and it's serving that purpose. And it will elevate. Competition elevates everything. If you only have Taco Bell to eat at, you may not like it. But if 5 guys or you know what I'm saying, if someone moves in that you're like, oh, it makes they'll elevate their game. They'll figure something else out because they have to then compete for these athletes. These are the top grapplers in the world, and having organizations compete for them,
It's not bad.
is a good thing for them. And I think for the sport in general. And for the fan that's already bought our tickets to ADCC, if we just look at it from a selfish perspective, I'm like, well, you might say, well, that sucks because it affects me.
Yeah.
But long term, I think it's going to be a good thing. And, he doesn't necessarily have to run it directly in line at the same time. I think he's making a statement here, and he's using this drama to bring it to the forefront.
Yeah.
And I think overall it's going to be good for the sport.
I have seen there's a bunch of like smaller, even smaller than us podcasts. Like we're not big, obviously, but there's ones that have 200 subscribers or something like that, right?
I see how dismissive you are with that now. 200.
Wait, you guys have more than 200? I didn't know this. Wow, I should have came more prepared.
Now that we're over 1,000 now, now we're
gotcha.
kind of like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
That's just video subscribers too. We have actually
know.
quite a bit more of audio.
I don't have to tell my mom to watch this time.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But there's whether it doesn't matter the size. Like every episode I'm seeing on, let's say on YouTube, where they're talking about it, their views on that episode is huge.
Yeah. Wow.
1,000 plus. So if you have, let's say, 150 subscribers on YouTube, and you have an episode that has 800, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 views, that's like very difficult to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And every single one, doesn't matter. Like they are like having huge numbers on all these episodes. All that tells me is like people are thirsty for this competition.
They're eating it up.
They're loving
They
it.
want to know all the stuff.
We did this episode way too late, basically.
And this better be a 2-parter because if they click on it and we don't talk about it for another hour.
They're like, who's this? Who's this freaking guy?
Yeah, we put it on there and it's just this Fruit Loop.
Yeah.
We're definitely gonna do 2 parts. And probably do the Craig Jones one first.
I was
and
going to
Yeah.
say, we'll just do it backwards. This is the second episode.
so the intro will be a little weird. So I think people are loving it. Now there are opinions. Someone in the room even is very much against this CJI thing.
Okay, but before we get to that, did you guys know the pay structure for ADCC before any of this?
I knew the super fight. I thought the super fight was the same as the bracket, or I thought the bracket was the same as the super
That's
fight.
what I thought too.
I thought it was
didn't
like
know
40.
it was so low.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was just 10 grand for the champion.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that low. I didn't
Yeah.
pay any attention to it. I just assumed.
I had heard someone, I think probably Gordon back in the day, but when he first was like won the super fight or got into it, that I heard somewhere that it was 40 grand. And I was like, dang, yeah, ADCC is crazy. That's insanely awesome.
Yeah.
So I just figured if you won, because it was also talked about like it was monetarily like really good, which obviously it used to be. And so, yeah. Now, is it good for the sport? Absolutely. It has to be good for the sport.
Yeah.
This absolutely raises it because the ADCC's perspective on the whole thing is they're trying to grow sustainability to pay them more. Now this is his justification. I'm not saying it's true. Yes, I agree or not, or disagree. His justification is I want to grow it from the ground up, as in we used to be in gymnasiums this whole time. Now we're putting money into production and facilities, having the Pride drummers. I see people bitching about Bruce Buffer. Oh, you're spending money on Bruce Buffer. Bruce Buffer has been doing ADCC announcing for like 10 years. So people need to like not be retarded. He's always been around. But they've put all this money into production and venue without upping fighter pay. I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or whatever. I'm just saying what it is. And so what they want to do is get bigger sponsors so then they can adjust fighter pay because, as they say, they are not profitable. They lose money every single event that they do. And they are trying to grow revenue by having a nicer place that they can charge more because before it'd be $20 to get in. Now, I think the cheap seats were 50 or 75. One second. And then, so his goal, supposedly, grow gate revenue, so that'd be ticket sales, and then get bigger sponsors, which then obviously give the venue money or the event money, and then pass that along. Go ahead, Chris.
So I go with if you build it, they will come. If you start offering big prize money, everything else can take care of itself.
Yeah.
So
if you put that money there first, you're going to get it's going to be the most competitive thing to get into. You're going to attract the sponsors will follow that, and your venues can follow as an after. All that will kind of build organically if you pay them, if you put your money into your athletes first. Yeah. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a hard problem either way, right? And I think the one thing that this brought up to me was just the pay of the fighters. And I just look at the rate of inflation. And I'm like, there's like, if you're paying 10 grand and 40 grand 10 years ago, like
totally.
Yeah.
Like compared to now, that's peanuts.
Yep.
Right.
And so I like that Craig's putting the pressure on. I think most of us who are nerdy and dig deeper, we understand that he's also trolling. There's the Fafolka behind it as well, right? With Gordon and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be better for the sport. I just want to see the athletes get paid, and
incongruent with the times, basically.
Yeah,
if we're gonna, and this is Craig's thing, is he just thinks the money's spent poorly.
Yeah.
As in, let's say they have a $3 million budget, ADCC, for a venue, or not a venue, but a full budget for the event. And this is where Joe Rogan really was frustrating, in my opinion, on the podcast.
I heard
he kept talking about, but if they're not profitable, how do you expect them to up the fighter pay? And I was kind of weird that Craig didn't just plainly say then why are we upping to $1 million rental?
Yeah.
As in the T-Mobile Arena is $1 million.
Why are we doing that?
To do that? Thomas and Mack, it's like 30 grand.
Totally.
So why they're not profitable still? Why are we putting an extra few $100,000 into the venue? But what is that going to do?
Or raise the ticket price and go to Thomas.
You absolutely. Well, this is the thing too. Last year, 2022 was the first time they actually made a profit. So they actually made a profit, which is good. That's fine. I'm not saying they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But why that? So if the task in the model is grow ticket sales, grow viewership, as in physical, right? Not streaming, physical, which then brings in more sponsors. And then that's going to trickle down. Well, why? Where are the bigger sponsors this year than 22 or 19? Have we gotten any bigger quote unquote sponsors that Nike, Reebok, Google, whatever, Red Bull, these big companies that were looking to sponsor us?
Yeah.
We haven't seen a single one come on from here to here.
Yeah, and they're taking it away from a paywall and streaming it on YouTube.
That's another thing. So,
Which
Craig
is
Jones
a great
Invitational,
idea.
yes, is not going to go through Flow Grappling or a pay-per-view model. They're going to stream it completely free on YouTube.
And it's a crazy idea. I like it.
But this is the thing. It's so much more long-term. Because what's going to happen, they're going to stream it live. And then there's going to be so many rewatches. And that's where they're going to have ads on it. They're going to have it probably on B Team's YouTube page, so it's already monetized. So every time someone goes back and watches a match, they're going to get paid. And they're going to make way more money in revenue off of that, rather than if they signed up with Flow.
And sponsors look at views.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So,
and then sponsors are going to be like, oh, wow, that one match with Andrew Tackett and Mika Goval got 400,000 views in the last 6 months or 3 months. And they're going to be like, we want our ad in the front of that.
Right. But I think and you know this probably more than anybody. My concern though is like, yes, Flow does the streaming, but doesn't Flow also run the production?
It depends on your deal.
Okay.
So yes or no. It depends. So for ADCC, they were on Flow Grappling, then they signed with Fight Pass, and then they went back to Flow. And the big reason with that, and that's what kind of gave us a little insight into that whole deal, was Fight Pass couldn't keep up because ADCC wanted to stream and have every match available from all the opens. So all these smaller events that are not the championship, they wanted, and then the trials and stuff like that, they wanted to be able to have all that content. Fight Pass was not built for that. It's built for like single venue, Apex Arena or whatever, and do that. They weren't built for this other...
Like showing 4 matches at the same time.
Well, not necessarily that, but Arizona this weekend, Denver the next weekend, New Jersey, right? Like that sort of thing. Which is where like Fight to Win is really good, right? Fight to Win, they own all the equipment, so that's why they can just do a semi truck and it goes to the next venue or next stop or multiple. Flow is built for that because they do IBJJS opens and all that kind of stuff. So the continuity there kind of already was built in rather than like Fight Pass. It just wasn't quite ready for that level. So where were we with the breakdown of the whole dealy bob?
We haven't even spoken about the fighters yet.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that. So people that have confirmed that they were going to, so I'll start with the people that were confirmed in ADCC and have now backed out. So there's some people that have won the trials, which is insane that they went through the whole tough process, 7 fights, to win trials. Probably the toughest tournament you can do.
Probably.
Because the championship is only 4 matches. So you're doing that, and they've committed and pulled out of ADCC. First, you have the Tackett brothers.
They were the first.
They were the first, Andrew and William Tackett. Super exciting. I mean, Andrew Tackett is a little bit of a man crush on this young man. But keep your mouth shut. But that's just barn burner, these guys being in there. And then they actually announced Luke Rockhold, which I thought was interesting. I get what they're doing. Name value. He's trying to steal MMA fans as much as he can to pull them in. I don't hate it. Yeah. Apparently, he's actually super good at jiu-jitsu too.
Oh, yeah.
Like we've seen him good.
His reputation.
And we've seen him do good in MMA, but supposedly he's actually quite good.
I mean, where does he train at?
AKA.
Right. Like
So
that's Habib and all those guys.
And but like from a jiu-jitsu side, he's like submits a lot of people and like all that. So it does start to turn into a little bit of a B team open mat, a little bit, because then we got Nicky Ryan, which that was a pretty big one.
Yeah,
you know, Gordon Ryan's brother. He finally got a big win over JT Torres, which kind of like showed like, oh, he's finally gonna maybe like do some damage at the championship. Yeah, pulls out Craig Jones Invitational, and then you have Joseph Chen. Phenom, young phenom. He won the trials as well. He was going to be in there. He's now doing Craig Jones Invitational. Nicky Rod, which is probably the biggest one, I would say. Silver medalist. We were all anticipating that's going to be the time we see him versus Gordon. No, he's pulling out or has officially pulled and is now in there. We also have Mason Fowler, which I love this one.
Awesome.
We just saw Nicky Rod and him go at it. I think different rule set. This is going to be interesting to see how this goes. And he's at the top of the food chain right now. He looks like he's beating everyone except for right now Nicky Rod, maybe Gordon. Like he's putting it on everybody. And then this is kind of a funny one. Because Mo Jassim came out and talked about how, you know what? Okay, this guy's pulling out. Yeah. Well, guess who we're going to replace him with? Yeah. Barn burner, fan favorite, the animal himself, the natural Roberto Jimenez.
Yep. Who now is.
If you guys want to leave, all right, I'm going to bring in the best. Yeah. He's now doing
I just saw that one. I was like, Roberto Jimenez. I'm like,
it stings. Yeah. Once it hits your lips.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
There hasn't been any talk about any of the Manaus guys yet, have there?
We'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that in a second.
See if that's set up?
Yeah. Okay. So we have two more we have two more for the tournament confirmed.
Okay.
The latest, well, not the latest, but one of the latest is Lucas Barbosa. So Hulk.
Sweet.
That's big name.
He just competed last weekend at the karate thing against
Karate Combat?
Yeah, AJ.
Which is interesting because it's going to be a very similar thing for him.
He did a front flip off the wall, the pit. Into a back take. It was really dope.
Savage.
It was super creative.
I think I saw the highlight, but I didn't recognize that it was him. I just saw AJ getting his butt kicked, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." I just thought it was an MMA guy. Okay, and you know he's a Northwest guy now, which is kind of cool. He's got his gym in Oregon, multiple time ADCC medalist, I think champion. So that's a huge name to have in there. And then we have Joao Gabriel Hoka.
Nice.
This one's spicy because one, he's a giant. He's the one that was actually giving Gordon a really good match. Gordon tore his knee in that match. Super hard to deal with. Besides Buchecha, I mean, he would be a multiple time world champion if Buchecha wasn't around. Buchecha always kind of had his number a little bit. But this one's big because as Craig, Craig happened to post that Joao has 2 wins over Marigali. Yep. And when he announced that Joao's in here, he's like, "Oh, looks like we're just gonna get the guy that beats the guy." So a little bit of poking the bear there to see if we can get Marigali. I don't think Gordon's gonna join. I think he's going to try and do a loyalty thing with.
You think the new wave guys in general are gonna?
I think that we will get a new wave guy.
Do you?
Into Craig Jones? I do think, but I think for the most part, Helena, I could see. Well, I think Bodoni was.
That's what I was going to say, Giancarlo.
They don't even have a women's bracket.
But I mean, for like super fights.
Oh.
Yeah. I think Bodoni, I could see going to Craig Jones Invitational personally.
I mean, he won it already. I mean, the ADCC is
yeah. And so I could imagine him doing that. The guy I think I could really imagine doing Craig Jones is Big Dan.
Yeah.
Monticelli. Because Gordon is still considering doing a division and super fight.
Yeah.
So if Big Dan already has Gordon maybe going in his division or Marigali, well, why go against a teammate?
Right.
Why not just try to get a milli?
Yeah.
So I could imagine that. Now, if Marigali decides to pull out and go for that million, okay, maybe Dan stays. And then I feel like Gordon might do minus 99, not plus, because he is still not looking very big.
Yeah.
Like just his weight in general. He's like 210, something like that. So I don't know what 99 kilos is, but
do you think the money being offered will outweigh the pride and loyalty that New Wave has to ADCC?
that's such a tough question.
Because okay, just looking at it from
A lot of peer pressure.
a troll logic. If anyone from New Wave, if I'm Craig, if anyone from New Wave joins,
Right.
I win.
You're giving him fuel.
I
Yes,
win.
Yes. And there's going to be massive peer pressure in that room to not do it.
Yeah.
But can you stop Oliver Taza? Can you stop Big Dan from? I mean, that is such a big amount.
It's a tough thing,
and it's a one-time thing. This is the thing.
Yeah.
Craig has said he's not going to plan every single one like to go up against ADCC. It's just this first one. He wants to try to band fighters together and like be like, you guys gotta like, you guys need to band together to get stuff to change.
Yeah.
If no one bails on ADCC, then they have no incentive to raise the rates. So put some pressure on them. And the way we can put pressure on them is not participating.
Yeah.
There just happens to be something else you can participate. Because if you just sit out like a Major League Baseball, what's that? Where they boycott or
Strike?
Yeah, strike. Like you're not showing up. I can't remember what it was called.
baseball strike.
Strike, baseball, balls.
You actually played baseball too.
I love balls.
Yeah.
I asked you this question already, and I want to hear it from Chris. Who, if you could pick one person that could sign to the CJI that would break the internet, though, who would that be?
Mika Galval.
He's the biggest one. You
You
think?
think he's the biggest one right now?
Dude, he's got, I think his trajectory right now is.
I'll give you one.
Yeah.
One of the Rotolos.
I like that
Like
too.
Cade?
Yes.
Champ.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Champ.
That's a good one, Olivia.
Cade and Mika.
Oh,
Hello.
The finals of ADCC last time.
Yep. I'm just saying.
You know,
There's so many options out there.
you know the only thing I'm scared of.
What?
I said, you know the only thing I'm scared of.
I can't remember the quote.
I can't say it.
What?
It's an office quote.
Oh.
If there's some office people out there.
Oh, hold on. Getting a boner?
The only thing I'm scared of is getting a boner.
Terrible.
Andrew's listening. He's
Yeah.
like, I knew it from the beginning.
Yeah. Andrea probably knows it too.
Probably. 'Cause
Yeah.
she's, yeah. Who'd I say? I said Marigali, Mika,
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Marigali.
Marigali would be.
and I think I said Rotolos.
Yeah. I don't know if he should, but the name, I think Mikey would be good.
Yeah.
But under 80, but I think he could make,
I mean,
because
he
he's
could-
about my size.
He could do it.
He could do it.
And he's talking about putting on muscle right now.
Okay.
He wants to get to,
'Cause
I
he
think
has
he
his-
said 170.
Yeah, because he has his match coming up.
Yeah, against Rotolo.
No, again.
Is it Rotolo?
No, Gabriel Souza.
Yeah, but he has another one against Rotolo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that in one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
that'd
So
be
he's got
awesome.
Gabe Souza, and then which he wanted to put some weight on for him, and then he's trying to put more weight on for Rotolo.
Maybe he's gearing up. Oh,
Spicy. Why wouldn't he do it?
why wouldn't? Yeah.
He's done open weight before.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
You know, it's like I feel like it makes sense. The Yeah, okay. So your question about the Manaus boys, Fabricio Andre has already rejected.
Okay.
He said no. Baby Shark and Mika. These are the question marks, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what they said, or Melky said, the coach / dad, is we're going to evaluate everything after Worlds. Well,
I was checking today.
It just so happens to be after World because he didn't say no. Yeah. He literally said essentially the same thing Roberto Jimenez said at the Kasai matches, which is we're going to just evaluate what makes sense, and
what makes sense is the pay.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, $1 million in Rios can go a long way.
Yeah.
Well, just for showing up in
10 grand.
English, 10 grand, you know? So
yeah. And when you are, I think when you're young like that, you have multiple ADCC opportunities ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Even if Mo Jassam says, you got to do trials now, you lose your invite. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I mean, look what Mika did at the last trials.
The
he
problem
subbed
is
everybody.
A promoter doesn't want to
3
look
minutes.
petty, though, either.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, we all know Mo is petty. We all know.
I don't know him. I'm just saying that you do. It's not a good look to look petty.
It's been a while since I've had lunch with him, so I can't say I know him either. But just from judging by how he's like he literally holds grudges and he's like open about it.
Yeah,
and
that's not good.
He
not if you're trying to get the best talent.
No. At the same time, he is, I think, treating this really well. On that last live, Olivia, Brian, and myself were all on it. Yeah. And there was like 1,600 people streaming it on Instagram. He actually, I think, was treating it pretty well.
Yeah.
He was just like, no, I'm not mad. It is what it is.
But sorry to cut you off there, but
go
I
for it.
think his ticket's already sold.
Yeah.
Right? So he's living comfortably. Like I don't know if it's sold out or not yet.
We could have sold our tickets for like $1,200 a ticket.
Yeah. But the tickets, like he's made his money, you know?
Like before, and then
Like 2 weeks ago, we could have sold them for $1,200
And then got
sold
the
them
seat.
and then bought them back for like 200.
Great. But I think what I'm concerned about is, you know, we got our tickets. We're going to go to ADCC this year. How many people are going to be there Saturday? You know,
I don't like that. It's
is it going to be
forcing us as fans?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Saturday's going to be annoying.
I love it.
Saturday's going to be annoying.
Well, we have our own personal chauffeur.
why is that annoying?
We do. Because we're going to have to pick which one we go to.
Okay.
And that's just kind of annoying. Either you're going to get to, let's say Mika does say yes, right? And it's Mika versus Mikey Musumeci in the finals of Craig Jones Invitational for $1 million.
Well, I know what I'm doing.
One, who's tapping?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody tapping for
Oh no, dude.
Okay, so that's I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And then they're also going to have Fionn Davies against someone.
Dude.
In all likelihood, they're going to have Marcelo Garcia in a super fight.
Oh. Okay.
Chris just broke wind.
I did.
I don't know if it
I
was on
like,
the mic.
It was.
He just defecated.
That's like my favorite. He's not my favorite grappler.
I mean, we didn't even talk about potential super fights yet.
Well,
I know. We're not even there yet.
Legends coming back.
So he hinted heavily on Rogan, and a lot of people didn't pick it up,
yeah.
is when he was talking about a grappler that his last name sounds Mexican, but he's not.
Yeah.
That's a nod to Eddie Bravo, because Eddie Bravo heard about some Mexican dude submitting everybody at ADCC. It was Marcelo Garcia.
Right.
Because Garcia sounds Mexican more than Brazilian. And he said, it's the biggest super fight ever that you'll ever... He's just trying to get it done.
Well, and the biggest comeback story.
And the biggest comeback story. And it's
After
just
cancer.
And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it has to be Marcelo.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
So that's Saturday.
Well, no, and
Fionn Davies.
Let me just go back a little bit. You
okay.
talk about no one's tapping. Dude, if you watch UFC, Kevin Holland just broke a dude's arm carrying our watch. And they weren't making $1 million.
Yeah. Did you hear him explain it? He says he put the armbar on and he heard all the crackling. Yeah. And then he was like, okay, the guy's done. And he goes, oh, he's not done.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to full break it.
Well, he went right across the.
Yeah. Before he did that is when he felt it crackling.
Yeah,
It was so gross.
Yeah, he said he felt the crackling and the guy didn't tap. So then he's like, okay.
Carrie and I were both like, oh.
Yeah.
That was disgusting.
Icky poo poo.
Yeah. So anyway, but
So
yeah,
let's say that's Saturday.
Dude.
So then you either got to deal with, you're going to either watch that, less production value. I have very low expectations for the production.
But that's okay. I mean, because we go to
agree.
these local tournaments. I'm
I
not
agree.
saying they're bad.
I
They're not
agree.
bad at all.
I agree. But then you have your, who'd I say, Mika versus Mikey. Let's say. Or Andrew Taggett versus Mika. Maybe that's more realistic.
Regardless,
Whatever.
Yeah.
But then at ADCC, you're going to have all those matches going on. You're going to have all the production value. I mean, the environment.
Do both. But that's the thing. I think that's the thing I'm worried about.
But how do you do both? It depends on, well, you potentially could. It just depends on the scheduling.
Yeah.
ADCC
Or you just don't go and you go Sunday.
exactly.
I mean, the tickets are already bought. We already bought our tickets.
I'm playing
we made
devil's
our bet.
advocate because my wife has been arguing with me every freaking day. She comes into the room out of nowhere. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm watching The Office or something. And she goes, you know what another thing is? Craig Jones is a real piece of shit. And I'm like, what? And then she starts going off on me about, like, well, I'm not going Saturday.
Yeah.
You can go by yourself. And I was like, well, Andrea doesn't want to go yet either. She's like, well, you and Brian can go sit there by yourself.
Oh, Carrie's down for going. Yeah.
Liv, do you want to
Saturday.
toss
Okay, well,
anything?
she didn't have to sit for 8 hours 2 days in a row last year.
She's still
so
scarred by the last time.
At least 8 hours.
She's like, you want me to go for a third day? Like, no, you can have a ladies'
With
day
a
at the
break
pool
of an hour.
while the nerds are.
Oh yeah, because we're not coming in till Friday, so we would only
Whoa.
What time?
I don't know, but my point is though we wouldn't, we'd only get like a piece of the first day on the Craig Jones, but we would definitely go to the second day and then hit ADC finals on Sunday. It sounds amazing.
But I think that's where Mo might get hit hard.
Saturday.
Saturday. Seeing the attendance.
So this is my thought. Like I feel, this is my prediction, is now this could change if literally Mika, I don't think Mika and Baby Shark would both do it because they would both be an 80 and under.
I think Mika is going to do it.
Yeah. But let's say, we get some of those big names. I feel like it's going to be hard to get more than 6,000 people. I have that number in my head because that's about half capacity of Thomas and Mack. I just feel like it's going to be difficult to get people
Well, okay. Why?
on Saturday.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't really have a good reason why.
You have the top of funnel with all these people going to ADCC already.
Yeah.
They're there Saturday, Sunday, guaranteed. That's already booked.
I think it really depends on how Friday goes. Because you're right. Friday might be even more. It will be more sparse because a lot of people are coming in Friday.
What time is the CJI finals at?
We don't know yet.
No, yeah. I don't know.
Because if it's
He hasn't even released tickets yet, which he might do this week.
yeah, because depending on the timing, maybe some people, if it's in the morning, then they'll go to that in the morning, then go to ADCC in the afternoon, or vice versa.
But I think
Which it would be what I would want to do if
but
Craig
we're
did it
talking about a
early.
troll here.
Yeah. Okay. He's going to figure out their schedule and do it exactly the same time. I mean, at a minimum, damn near every single person at ADCC
gonna
on
be streaming.
Saturday is going to have their phone up with the YouTube stream.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
At a minimum.
I think it's just gonna. I think it's gonna come down to how much the tickets are. And it's how much the tickets are per day or for the package.
Which
for two.
were not expensive
Yeah.
when last time.
Right.
Like the really good tickets, the down below ones, I think were only $200 for 2 days.
Shoot. Yeah,
Like
that's legit.
now maybe, I mean, and the thing is, if he's doing a quote unquote nonprofit,
Well, I was
which
gonna
is
say
how,
it should be whatever you can pay then.
yeah, exactly. It'll be probably bare minimum of
Yeah,
whatever
that's
the
what I'm
venue
thinking.
demands.
Yeah.
So, my goodness.
And especially if he gets one of those that we talked about, one of those big names.
Yeah.
Throw on a
Who
couple
do you
of
think
legends.
is a big, like the ground shaking name.
I think Okay, I think there's two. I think for the jiu-jitsu crowd, I think going with Chris, I think Mika would be the big name.
Yeah.
I think if you want to get the MMA crowd,
Yeah.
I think you get somebody like GSP, Habib to sign up. And I think that pulls in that crowd.
Yeah. I don't think he can get Khabib.
I mean, he has an AKA guy. So it's not out of the...
For above 80, probably, I would assume. I think Luke Rockhold will go above 80.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What is 80 kilos?
So
it's
it's
like 180?
It's 2.2 pounds per kilogram.
So 170, like 8 or something like that?
Yeah, so if you do 80 is 160, then 0.2 times.
Bill doing math, everybody.
Honey, look it up. See how close I was.
What is it?
80 kilos to pounds. If I'm even close, I'm kicking you right in the...
Well, I said 180, just ballpark
It's
it.
above 180.
Shut your mouth. Liv.
I'm doing it.
Do it on the...
176.
Come on! Yes! Eat my wiener. In and around your mouth.
Let's roll later.
So,
You guys can roll.
okay. Do you think this tournament's going to go on more than once?
I mean,
Realistically.
realistically,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
You know his goals of like what he's hoping? What explain what his goal is.
Well, he talked about it on Rogan a little bit. Yeah, he wanted to, he was kind of a little non-committal. He's like, he wants to see how this one goes first.
And the investor.
And the investor, right, and just keep growing it.
But he wants to do it yearly.
Yeah, every
once a year.
as opposed to every 2 years.
But I think that's the key thing. It's the investor, right? Because what does the investor want? Like if you're an investor, right, you want to see a return on investment. You want to see what the ROI is, right? I can't imagine someone like Craig walks in and says, "Hey, give me a few $1 million and I'll 10x that, in 5-10 years." I think there's something else.
Well, I mean, the nonprofit thing is pretty big. Like that's a big monkey wrench that makes it like almost protects them a little bit. So it would have to be someone that's philanthropic, right?
Right, but like
Because all the ticket sales, let's say they sell 6,000 tickets.
Yeah.
All that money is going towards the charities of the fighters' choices.
Right. But like, I'm going to imagine he's going to need another like $2 million next year again.
Why?
Well, yeah, if you set the bar at that.
Yeah.
I mean,
If
what
you
are
set
you
the
gonna-
pay at that, he's going to need investment again.
Oh, okay.
Because how is he gonna? How is he gonna?
Because I think he has $3 million budget this year.
Right. So he's going to have to seek that investment again, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that to me, like, what is the impact of that investment from that investor side? Is it this nonprofit?
Yeah.
Is it I want to own this entity called CJI, and I want to have my name behind that and build this event that surpasses ADCC because I have some sort of issue with ADCC,
And I don't even think
or I
he's
just
trying
had
to
this
surpass it. I think he's just wants competition.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if we ever figure out who the investor is, I think we'll understand a lot more like what's the long term.
Who do you think it is?
I think there's two.
Okay.
I think it's Zuck.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. I think it's Zuck. Or somebody in the Emirates area that is just competitive too.
Zuckerberg makes more sense because he's a jiu-jitsu guy now.
Yeah.
Mikey would have to do it then, I would think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If it was Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think logically Zuckerberg makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Because his wife is super into like charity and like all like that's like her main thing is like she does a lot of charitable stuff. So for him, even though he's a multiple billionaire, he's still got to go to his wife and say, "Hey, I want to invest in a nonprofit for jiu-jitsu, $3 million." Zuck still got to ask permission.
Yeah.
You know that. Yeah. And he probably had to justify and be like, we'll see how this first one goes. If we can get $1 million in revenue, we can write off the other two because that's business expense, blah, blah, blah. But if we get $1 million of revenue through sponsors and then gate revenue, YouTube, whatever, and we give that to all these charities, that's pretty freaking good. We can do another one then. So it makes the most sense, I think.
Sense to me.
Yeah.
And Craig was a little coy about it when he was asked multiple times by Luke Thomas on what is that show called? MMA Uncensored, I think, or something like that. So he was asked multiple times on that. And he played a little coy for sure. But he said no. He said, no, it's not. Yeah. And then Luke Thomas was like, well, maybe you should. He's like, well, I probably should actually try to get $1 million from him, maybe another $1 million. So part of me says, it's not. But I don't
know. He's so good. He's so good at troll. I mean, we're talking about it today.
Yeah. The thing is also, we saw him go into like Ukraine and Kazakhstan and all these little European countries. I could totally imagine some oligarch over there, like the Chechnyan guy that loves MMA, but he like kills people, like that guy, someone like that, like loving Craig and just being like, here's some money to launder.
Yeah.
And like do it like that,
Jeez.
Yeah.
$3 million.
Well, that's going to be the tag of this freaking.
I got $3 million.
Well, when we go to
money laundering,
when we go to CJI, we'll see who the investor is. We'll see who it is.
Yeah.
If we see Zuck there,
there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and that was okay. We didn't touch on this, the Joe Rogan thing, how he kept bringing up the revenue / like how do you how do you spend more money without the revenue? It's like it has nothing to do with revenue because ADCC supposedly has lost $40 million since '96 or whenever they started, and it's like okay, well, profit and revenue has no bearing on it. It's like in Craig's main gripe once again is purely the efficiency of spending. If you've always had this budget for each one, why are you? And that's what he's trying to prove is like, I don't know if I could be profitable, but I feel like we could be more profitable than they are. And that's why he's doing a $3 million budget primarily to them, the fighters. And then the rest will go into production. So
Joe, don't hate me for this, but he was just, I felt like he was going a bit too hard at Craig for that.
On ADCC side.
On ADCC side. You could really.
Kind of felt that way.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It could be that, but it also could be he wanted to
just press.
He wanted to do his job and play, like a devil's advocate thing, instead of being like because he likes Craig Jones.
Yeah.
But he wants to be more even-handed, probably. I don't know. I'm not in his head, but yeah. I mean, he was. I think he did I think it was fair. I didn't think it was too.
I thought it felt like he was holding ADC's bag a little bit and was like kind of like. It almost felt like talking down to it a bit. Yeah, is kind of the perspective that I know we were getting.
That would be odd though, because he was a big backer of EBI, which did something completely different, and the fact that
his main gripe, which I think is a valid gripe and a gripe that a lot of people have, is the whole same weekend thing.
Yeah, that's the only gripe you have.
I get it.
That's where he was pressing.
But I know why he's doing that.
Even if he did Thursday, Friday, I think that could have been awesome. Like rather than, because you're still taking advantage of people that are there. Yes, you're not going to get there's a percentage of people that are going to fly in on Friday. I get that. Yeah. But the thing is, I bet a lot of people would be flying in earlier Friday. So if you did it like afternoon on Friday, you could probably still get people that are like, dude, let's just go to the finals.
Yeah. I look at it this way. He could have done it Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
But he chose to do it Friday, Saturday. And I think it's giving, he wants the people to vote. He's giving everyone an opportunity to vote, right? Yeah. Giving the athletes a right to vote. Yeah. Giving the attendees a right to vote. Sponsors a right to vote, whatever. And I think he's just giving everyone all this data to look at and saying, okay, here, look, this is what the people are telling you.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. Well, there's a couple. First one is about, I'm just going to put them out there. First one was, do you think it was a good idea for Craig to have these 2 huge prizes instead of splitting them out so that fighters could get more money instead of just the 10 grand? Because if it's about paying the fighters better, then wouldn't it have been better for more people to get more than just
You're saying do like
$1 million?
30 grand to each person. Second place gets 250, and then first gets something.
Okay, that's one.
Okay.
2, Craig said on Joe Rogan that he would have been fine if they had just upped it to 20,000 for the winner,
ADCC,
right? Not across the board, just the winner, right? So I know there's some people that are kind of like shocked by that, but I mean that's not a lot more. So I'm kind of, your opinions on that.
Which we will say that on Instagram Live, Mo raised the female rate
to match
because someone bitched about it justifiably and was like, dude, why are the females only getting half of what the males are getting when they win? And he goes, you know what? You're right. I'm upping it right now. Done.
And then the last thing is Mo also brought up on the Instagram Live that he has tried talking and setting up times with Craig and that Craig hasn't gone back to him and that they could have sat down and talked about this, but Craig was dodging him.
Let me speak on that last thing. Craig mentioned that because Luke Thomas brought that up on the MMA show. And Craig said, why do we have to have a private meeting? I got nothing to say in private. Let's just put it out there. Let's have our conversations in public because I don't need to hide anything. So why don't we just jump on a podcast and talk? And Mo won't do that. Mo only wants to talk in private. I understand why Mo wants to talk in private because you're talking about business stuff. That makes sense. But I also understand what Craig's doing. Yeah. But to the other stuff, go ahead.
I can't speak to the last because, that one I don't. Yeah.
How about the money thing? The $1 million being spread.
Right. I like that idea. I haven't really looked at that and I kind of done the math and.
Well, I mean, you could split it up any sort of way,
right?
Like 250 for first place,
like $500,000 for each winner, and then split the remaining 500 against
something like that.
Yeah,
and I think probably if I had to guess, that would in subsequent events that probably will be more equitably split out. I think this is a big shock value type of thing.
I agree. Yeah, it's easy to say $1 million.
And it has that kind of like woo, and then
just to show up, you get what the finalist would get.
Yes,
at ADCC,
the winner.
Yeah,
$1 more.
$1 more.
Yeah. And I think it kind of you're probably right. It creates that kind of shock value of one. You have the troll aspect of 10,000 to anyone that shows up, 10,001. Yeah, and then you have this big dazzling number of
life-changing money.
Yeah, which 500,000, obviously crazy,
right? Very
big,
right?
But $1 million, just saying $1 million and having every competitor say, "I want that $1 million."
I mean, it looks great on a check.
Yeah,
like they're probably gonna get a big ass check or the duffel bag.
Now,
cash.
Does it work? Yeah, who knows? Because as we've seen with PFL, yes, they've peeled some people for the $1 million thing, but not as many as you would really imagine. I saw an interesting comparison was some people like there was Islam Makhachev. He has like a certain amount of fights in the UFC and banking or his contract. It's all public. He probably started hitting $1 million purse like when he became champion. Or there's a guy that just won the PFL, won $1 million in just a couple fights. Yeah. So it's like, which would you rather? Would you rather have the UFC with the obviously what can come with being a UFC fighter, having to do 8 fights to get $1 million, or?
But I would say they're different, right? Because there's a clear path in both to $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. I think this one there's no with the ADCC route, and you can argue both sides, but I think Craig's one is hard to dispute. Is you can win ADCC. Bodoni, for example, is Bodoni a millionaire? Is he on his path to a millionaire? Right.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't see his content. I don't hear him as much being talked about, even though he's a great jiu-jitsu practitioner. He beat all these studs and he won it. 2 years ago.
Which is Fion's kind of thing. Yeah. She said when she won Worlds, she got a big bump in followers and instructional purchases. Her seminars were a little fuller. So there's a monetary value there. Yeah. When she won her second Worlds, zero bump. She didn't have any fuller seminars. Her instructional sales did not go up. Her like social media followings did not grow. So having a second one didn't really do anything for her, which is part of her justification for pulling out of ADCC. She also has some gripes with Flow and ADCC and like not upping the female rates and stuff like that. But that was part of the decision of not doing ADCC and going into the super fight where she is going to get a pretty good payday. We don't know what it is. Same with Gabby Garcia. She's pulled out of ADCC. She's doing a super fight against Craig Jones, which is very interesting. And Craig's going to try to do a second super fight on the second day. So we'll see how that goes.
With Fion.
Yeah. And then, and you know, there is some misinformation out there where Seth Daniels is putting out there that Gabby Garcia is getting paid $180,000 for the super fight, which Craig is refuting and saying that he's just trying to inflate the rate. So then other people, when he offers them $50,000, let's say, they're like, well, why wouldn't you offer me 180 like Gabby? You know, so
which is smart. It throws a wrench in there.
If people are sabotaging, you might as well do it back. So that's kind of interesting. We did for a second talk about the who's number one in super fights. So, you know, the big guys, the headliners, they can make six figures on a super fight. The lower you go down to about 20 to 50 grand, what each individual person will make on a super fight.
So it's like the UFC pay structure, probably.
Kind of
percentage of distribution.
My opinion, even better because your minimum at UFC is like 5-5. 5 show, 5 win. So you can go get knocked out for $5,000 in the biggest promotion there is, you know, which is kind of crazy.
Question for two of you, because Olivia's not going to go. She said already. What is the price tag that you wouldn't be paying at? Like if
ticket price?
Yeah, ticket price for CJI.
If it's over $200, I wouldn't. For
both days?
Yeah.
For the current card, or if Marcelo appeared on the card?
No, for the current, even just if it's over $200 for both days, I wouldn't do it.
Oh, Bill.
I'm a little higher than that, especially if Marcel.
But are you? Because I'm part of you. So
what?
Well, he has to pay for 2 people.
Yeah.
So
that's
true.
So that's $400 for him to go.
I'm thinking about myself and Carrie.
Yeah.
I think. Now, I would imagine $200 is for good seats.
Okay.
I'm anticipating.
Yeah. Let's just say good
for
good
decent seats.
Yeah.
Probably 300.
300?
Yeah. Okay. Once I start getting to that 400, now I'm looking at about $1,000 because she's gonna have to go. Yeah. You're not gonna go without. You're not gonna let me go without you.
I would say between 100 200. Yeah. So there, Craig, there's a sample size for you.
Being able to see.
Yeah, there you go.
I will pay $5.
Having an opportunity to see Marcelo Garcia.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
For probably the last time he'll ever compete. And then Mika and all that.
I just want to see people competing knowing that there's life-changing money on the line.
That's what I'm talking about.
Last thing. What do you think about the rule structure and stuff like that?
That's a long question.
3 5-minute rounds.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm fine with that.
And then a 5-5 for the final.
Yeah, and I just don't.
5-5 for the final.
I guess we'll know more about how they convert that to that must.
Explain that, what he's doing with that.
So they're going to somehow come up with whatever points they get, then convert it to like an MMA point structure, like a 10-8.
Yeah.
So they'll have. And he kept mentioning 10-8. He never said 10-9 is the standard.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if you get put in like your back gets taken, it's an automatic 10-8.
Craig, please don't do that. Yeah. MMA fans don't like it.
Yeah.
We don't like it either.
I like the open scoring.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love open scoring.
Yep.
I'd love for people, because if there's urgency, like, I did lose the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
The third round, you got to go balls to the wall and just go for it.
Or if there's a way where the fight is judged. Like Pride.
Yeah.
It's not they're taking
full-
round by round
Yeah.
scoring, and
Yeah.
it's the full fight.
And they're going to try to take, it sounds like, an IBJJF style points structure where there will be awards for positions and stuff like that. So it's something that we already kind of know, but throwing in the rounds and then throwing in the 10-point must. The 10-point must, man, I just don't.
I don't see that.
I hope he doesn't commit to it
I'm not a fan.
because it seems like you're going to have to really work on that to like make it.
It'd just be like, what? And then
Yeah.
the last thing, they better actually get some judges that know what the heck they're doing.
I was gonna say, who are the refs gonna
And
be?
not like
Yeah.
the refs. Fine,
That's a good point.
But the judging, in MMA, it's a real problem. The athletic commissions from different states, people don't know what the hell they're even looking
I
at.
wonder if it falls under the same
I don't
category
know.
though.
That'd be a problem.
The difficult thing is there's a lot of the coaches and refs are ADCC.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, you're going to want to have some pretty seasoned practitioners to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, we'll get like a Shaolin Hibero. I know he was mentioned, or Eddie Bravo, or some these people that are super educated, but they're all. This is like the two biggest tournaments, so they're all busy.
That's true. That's a good point.
Be interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be fascinating.
I know we also didn't talk about.
Worlds.
Oh no, not Worlds. We didn't talk about
Those
that.
super fights?
No, the actual encaved
Yeah.
pit.
The alley.
I thought I heard about that,
Yeah,
but I
like-
wasn't sure.
You can see an example of that at the karate combat grappling that they do.
Is that a square?
They're going to do a rectangle.
But is Karate Combat a square?
I don't know what it is.
But they have
Okay.
the slanted sides.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty large.
And I
too.
think the walls aren't going to be quite as tall as Karate Combats, but there will be kind of that kumite looking.
I like it.
I don't
do
hate
too.
it.
I like it a lot.
So you don't have these out of bounds, like
Yeah.
a takedown out of bounds and all that stuff.
And I think Rogan's perspective, once again, I like Joe Rogan. I think he was off where he's like, well, then people can like stumble on it and use it. And he's like, that's the point.
Yeah.
You shouldn't play the boundary. There should be a penalty. And instead of doing a penalty like warning or you lose a point, it's, well, you just tripped.
Yeah.
Because
and you're going to get
flying
owned again.
triangle
So,
or
exactly.
something
If you're
like
like
that.
defending a takedown, you're sprawling. You got to be cognizant now of you're going to hit a wall there.
Totally.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
30
We'll see
by
how-
40, I think is
Pretty
good.
substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Did he mention one or two matches going on at the same time? Wasn't it just one?
I don't know.
I believe he mentioned there's only going to be one match going on at one time, so everyone can focus on the action.
He
Interesting.
doesn't like to be late for class. I can
No,
see
it's
him.
not that. I got stuff. I got to.
Struggling right now.
I know. Like you're talking to the worst guys about being late to class.
We're like,
Sorry,
we got another
professor.
hour.
I got to go take care of some stuff in the house.
He's got to take a dookie.
No, it's not that.
Well, we're going to do a Worlds recap. Maybe we can figure out a time for you to come in.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be
can come by.
beautiful. But that's pretty much everything with Craig Jones. We do have the Fiona Davies. She's signed up for a super fight. She pulled out at ADCC as well. We're just waiting. Today is the 3rd, June 3rd. So no other announcements on matches. I'm sure we're going to do another one of these as we get.
I'm curious if any of your followers can predict who else is gonna.
Ooh, who do you think is next? Give us two names.
I like it.
I'm
one.
going Mika. I'm going Mika.
Yeah, Mika.
And then let's see, another person. Damn it. Ronaldo Jr. The Autos guy. You guys got any names?
I'm the one that said Mika.
Yeah, he's
Okay, you got Mika?
claimed Mika already.
do you
I like Liv's.
I do too.
The
I like
Rutolos.
her Rutolos.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that one.
that one is.
That might make me.
They're. I mean, all naturals. You know.
Hello.
All right, people, keep it spicy. Give us some comments. Let us know. We'll see you later.